Recording in progress.
I'll call the meeting to order. The American Canyon Fire Protection District Board meeting for March 26, 2024. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Board Member Abadamos?
Here.
Board Member Joseph? Oh, sorry, excuse me. Board Member Washington?
Here.
Vice Chair Oro?
Here.
Chair Garcia?
Here. Thank you. We're not sure whether Board Member Joseph will be joining us later. He has another obligation to fulfill first. Okay, report on closed session, confirmation of reportable action. Mr. Ross?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, members of the public, your board convened an open session at 5:33 p.m. and after ascertaining that there weren't any comments on the matters agendized for closed session, adjourned to closed session. You addressed all three matters and you concluded at 5:52 p.m. With respect to the matters agendized, I will do a written report upon return from closed session consistent with the provisions of Government Code Section 54-957.1. That would conclude the report unless there are questions.
Any questions for Mr. Ross?
No, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. We'll continue with our agenda. I got it. Move on to proclamations and presentation. This evening it gives us great pleasure, and we are honored to honor one Captain Jose Martin, 20 years of dedicated service. Thank you, sir. If you'd like to come to the podium with your family members, anybody can join you. If you want. Yeah. This is a family event.
Yeah. Hey, how are you guys?
Okay.
Thank you.
Is that it?
I think so.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Shall we begin?
Sure.
American Canyon Fire Protection District Proclamation, honoring Fire Captain Jose Martin for 20 years of dedicated service. Whereas Jose Martin began his service as a firefighter with the American Canyon Fire Protection District on March 2004. Wow. And whereas Captain Martin's tenure commenced with him taking charge of coordinating small gas engine projects, showcasing his versatility and hands-on approach. And whereas in 2007, Captain Martin played a pivotal role in the development of the district's urban search and rescue team curriculum and management of the program. And whereas Captain Martin's exemplary contributions were duly recognized in 2008 when he was honored with the Firefighter of the Year award. And whereas Captain Martin's promotion to fire captain on July 11, 2009 marked a significant milestone in his career as he assumed the role of apparatus officer, playing a crucial role in procuring essential firefighting apparatus and ensuring the operational readiness of our fleet. And whereas Captain Martin's dedication was further demonstrated when he assumed the role of rescue specialist in 2010. And whereas Captain Martin's participation in various strike team assignments, including roles as engine boss and strike team leader, exemplified his commitment, and whereas Captain Martin's pursuit of excellence led to his certification as a hazmat technician in January 2013, followed by hazmat specialist certification later that year, underscoring his commitment to enhancing our district's capabilities in handling hazardous material incidents. And whereas Captain Martin's commitment extended beyond his duties within the district, he also dedicated his time and leadership skills to serving as both Vice President and President of the American Canyon Firefighters Association, an essential ancillary committee. And whereas Captain Martin's ability to communicate in Spanish has been invaluable in assisting our Spanish-speaking community during emergencies. And whereas Captain Martin highlights that his most rewarding endeavor has been personally working with every firefighter during his probationary period. And whereas, as we celebrate Captain Martin's 2 decades of dedicated service, we extend our sincere gratitude for his unwavering dedication, outstanding leadership, and steadfast commitment to keeping our community safe. Now, therefore, be resolved that I, Leon Garcia, Chairman of the Board of Directors of American Canyon Fire Protection District, hereby acknowledge and commend firefighter Jose Martin for all his contributions to the health, safety, comfort, and quality of life to the citizens of American Canyon, and congratulate on his 20 years of service.
You guys supposed to shake your hand, right?
We're going to total up time? Oh, okay, all right. All right.
So, Jose, in keeping with, what was that? Is it Chief? Captain? In keeping with American Canyon tradition, I'm very honored to present you with the 20-year pin. We've changed it a little bit, though. This pin doesn't celebrate the 20 years of service that you've completed for the district. It celebrates the 20 additional years of service you're going to give the district. Right, Carrie? So, congratulations. Here's your pin.
Thank you very much.
But most importantly, thank you to your family for sharing you with us for all those years. It doesn't go unnoticed, at least from me, that the strength of an individual rests with their family and the support network that they have with them at home. So thank you very much for sharing Captain Martin with us. So with that, if you have anything you'd like to say, if not, I know you're usually a man of a lot of words.
No, I'm a man of not too many words. Thank you all. Thank you for coming. First and foremost, I didn't think I'd do this, but Carrie, you've been rock solid all these years. You're the reason I've been able to do everything I wanted to do with my career. Supporting me when I'm gone, always getting the phone call, hey, I'm not coming home, or hey, I'm going on a strike team, whatever the case may be, but you've always kept it solid at home. Carly, Hannah, Madison, who's not here tonight, also supported me with everything that I've done. Martha, you're the rock of this department. Everybody knows it. Thank you for all the kind words. Thank you for always being there for us. Fire Board Chair, thank you guys for always supporting everything we do. We always know that we have the support from the Fire Board, and it makes everything easier for everybody else. The community continues to support us, and Chief, you put together a pretty good team with all these young faces. Look at these guys, all eager to learn. I am honored to have worked with every single one of these guys when they were young probationary firefighters. Eddie, you're coming, so give it a couple months. You'll be with me soon. But anyway, this is huge. Thank you all. All I can say is the light at the end of the tunnel is very bright right now. So thank you.
Well, thank you all. That's very touching and heartwarming recognition. You know, it's just, we really, really value and appreciate all our firefighters and everyone who's out there protecting our community. So thank you. And I should ask all en español, viva los bomberos. Long live firefighters. Okay, moving on in our agenda. Public comment. Do we have any public comment this evening?
No, Chair.
Okay. Anybody in the audience wishing to comment?
Beth Marcus, I just want to say congratulations, Zay, for being here for 20 years. We look forward to another 20 years. Look forward to seeing all you guys up here in another 20 years. Thank you so much for what you do for all of our community. I love you guys from the bottom of my heart. Gonna make me cry. Always try to wave at you, and you guys are great about waving back. Love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Anyone else? If not, I'll close public comment. We'll move on with our agenda. Any agenda changes? Otherwise, board members, I'll accept a motion for the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion to adopt the consent calendar.
I'll second. Oh,
Motion second. Roll call, please.
Board Member Abudamos?
yes.
Board Member Washington?
Yes.
Vice Chair Oro?
Yes.
Chair Garcia?
Yes. Thank you. Moving on the agenda, there's no public hearing this evening. We'll move on now to business items. Item 10, fiscal year 2023-2024 mid-year budget review.
Thank you, Chair. Presenting this evening as always for our financial matters is our financial consultant, Mr. Ken Campo. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Ken. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Good evening, Chairman Garcia,
evening.
members of the board. As the Chief indicated, we're here to go over the mid-year budget for the fire district. Guess I've got the control. Here we go. So we'll briefly go over the monthly financial report that we prepare for the fire chief. Kind of keeps track of where we are throughout the year, budget to actual. And we'll take a look at the 23-24 budget update. We call it mid-year, but we've got the data through February. Everything looks pretty much, excuse me, on track for the year, but we do have some proposed budget adjustments for the board's consideration. I'd also like to thank the Finance Committee, Chairman Garcia, Vice Chair Oro. We had a Finance Committee meeting on March 12th where we went over the budget. We discussed the update and the proposed adjustments. So thank you to the Finance Committee. With that, we'll move on to the monthly financial report through February. So we always like to track where the district is in terms of the general fund reserves. Excuse me, just to remind the board, the bricks at the bottom represent the contingency reserve. That's equivalent to 20% budgeted expenditures. The blue bars on top of the brick is what we call the dry period operating reserve, and that's set to 50% of budgeted revenues as of July 1 of each year. That dry period funding is used to cover the operational cash flow requirements of the district throughout the year. Reserves through February are pretty much in line with the budget, slightly ahead of budget. That's the green line going across the chart. The blue line is where we were last year. So we're a little below last year, but we're above where we thought we would be through this point in the fiscal year. The next slide, we look at track the general fund cash balance throughout the year. And as compared to the previous year. So you can see the darker line is the current year, the blue line is the previous year. What this chart shows is about a $3.3 million drop from the high point that was April of last year, or yeah, April of 2023. And you can see the low point was November of 2023. So there's about a $3.3 million drop. So the high point being 6.1 million, the low point being 2.8 million. Kind of add some context to that general fund operating reserve is why we need to maintain that cash balance so we can cover operating needs during those lower revenue periods that we'll see in a moment. Okay, this is the taking a look at where we are in terms of where the salaries and benefits are through February. So we're slightly ahead of last year, which is what we expected. Again, the green line being the budget, the darker line is the actual for the year. We're tracking below budget primarily because it took us a while to achieve full staffing, but now that we're up to full staffing, we'll expect that difference between actual and budget to narrow as we get toward the end of the year. But overall, we expect to have salary and benefit savings when we get to the end of the year. We'll talk about that later in a couple later slides. So this is just overall spending. So this is salaries, benefits, supplies. You can see it tracks very closely to the salaries and benefits. Salaries and benefits making up about 87% of the overall expenditures. Again, we're tracking below budget through February. And again, now that we're at full staffing, that'll probably get a little closer as we get to year end. But overall, we expect to have some savings that we'll show. So this is our revenue slide. You can see it tracks pretty close with the property tax payments that come in December and April. Property tax revenue accounting for about 82% of overall operating revenue. So we're ahead of last year and pretty much right on track with where we thought we'd be at this point in the year. Overall, we think we'll be ahead of budget when we get to year end. And that's pretty much a look at the budget, where we stand through February. The board doesn't have any questions at this point. We'll move into the update.
Any question? Nope. No, sir. Please continue.
Okay, this is an overall summary of basically the three funds of the district. So the far left is the general operating fund, and in the middle is the fire mitigation fee fund. And then on the far right is the capital fund for the district, the fleet facilities and equipment fund. Overall, we're pretty close. If you look at the ending balance of the general fund, the budget showed a balance of about $5.3 million, and we think we'll still get to that $5.3 million figure by the time we get to June 30. We have a lower beginning balance. As you can see, is about $200,000 less than what we thought it was going to be. And if you recall back to our final budget discussion, we had some property tax revenue that came in late in the year. So it didn't get included in the last fiscal year. It got carried over to this fiscal year. So that means we start out with a lower beginning balance, but we have a higher current revenue number because that revenue got picked up in the current year as opposed to last year. That was about $116,000. So you see we have an increase in revenues, current revenues of $165,000. The bulk of that being the property tax revenue that I just mentioned. And we have a decrease in expenditures or expected expenditures of about $40,000. And that's related to the salaries and benefits that we saw previously, where we were tracking below budget. So overall, the net change is only about $1,000. So we're right in line with where we thought we would be. There's no changes in the fire mitigation fee fund. So that's tracking pretty much where we thought it would be. And with respect to fleet facilities and equipment, again, we have a higher beginning balance than we thought due to several factors having to do with more revenue being recognized last year, and that has to do with some bond proceeds or capital financing proceeds. Where we thought we would recognize those revenues this year, we actually recognized them last year, so kind of the opposite from what happened in the general fund. We also had fewer expenditures than we thought we were going to have, so that contributed to a higher beginning balance. So you see that decrease in current revenues, that's because they were recognized last year as opposed to this year. And we have a decrease in spending. The district took a really close look at its capital expenditures, and some of the things were delayed and pushed out. So overall, we have a net positive change of about $400,000 in that capital fund. So all that is kind of summarized here in our proposed budget adjustments. So for the general fund, you can see the increases in the property tax revenues, and again, that's primarily coming from last year. Collections that would typically have been included last year but got pushed over to the current year. We have slightly higher workers' comp reimbursement revenue, some higher investment earnings that are expected. So overall, about $166,000 more in revenue. And you can see that's that $43,000 expected decrease in expenditures. There's a drop in the full-time wages due to those vacancies. That has an impact on the benefits, so the retirement costs, the health benefits are all lower. But there's also a higher overtime cost to offset those savings, because we had the vacancies that had to be filled with overtime. So overall, about a net decrease of $43,000. So in total, for the general fund, there's a net improvement of about $200,000. On the fleet facilities and equipment fund, you can see the bond proceeds of $125,000. Those were proceeds we thought would get recognized this year. They were actually recognized in the previous year. And you see the decrease in expenditures there, some for facilities, some for equipment. There's a decrease of $100,000 for fleet. The new engines that the district purchased are probably not going to arrive until next fiscal year, so those are getting pushed out. So we have a net change in capital of about $83,000, or I'm sorry, $42,000. And those are the proposed budget adjustments for the year. So again, as I indicated, there's not much of a change overall in where we expected to end up in the general fund. So our financial forecast is pretty much the same as we showed last October when we did the final budget. You can see things get flat for a few years there until the property tax revenue that we're anticipating from Watson Ranch project and some of the other commercial development projects, the Oat Hill development. Once those revenues start coming in, you can see those projected ending balances starting to increase over time. So again, not much has changed in that financial forecast. I'll pause here if there's any questions from the board at this
Council board
point.
members? Seeing
No,
none,
sir. No.
please proceed.
Okay, then we'll move into the discussion about OPEB and PERS and the funding status of those benefits. So we'll start by looking at OPEB. This is really the retiree medical benefit. These are the funds that are being set aside to pay those benefits for retired members of the district. You can see as of December 31 of 2024, again, this is December 31 balance. We had about $4.2 million in total assets set aside. Out of that, that lighter blue area in the bottom represents the contributions the district has made into that trust fund. It's about $2.6 million. The darker area in the top represents the investment earnings, $1.6 million. So about 38% of the total balance is derived from those investment earnings. You can see that this is kind of a theme throughout this portion of the presentation. You see that drop from about 2021 to 2023 before it starts going up again. Post-COVID, we had a decline in the financial markets, so that's represented there. This is based on the market value of investments. That's why you see that decline, and then it starts recovering through the latter part of 2024. So this is taking the that market value of assets and comparing it to the liabilities associated with this retiree medical benefit. So the blue bars represent the market value of assets over the basically 14-year period. The orange bar is the accrued liability associated with those benefits. And the gray bar represents the difference between those two, which is the unfunded liability. So you take the total liability minus the market value of assets, and it gives you that unfunded liability. The line going across the top is tracking the funded ratio. So you can see as of December of 24, the funding, the OPEB benefit was about 63% funded. Again, when post-COVID, there was a spike in the market value of assets. So you see that big jump in 2021, and then it follows the decline in asset values for 22 and 23, and then starts moving up again in 24.
Excuse me, could just pause for a moment.
Yes,
I was
sir.
just wondering if we could have more of a explanation, more in terms of layperson's understanding of what are we trying to achieve with this?
What we're trying to achieve is we want that blue bar, the market value of assets, to equal that orange bar, which is the liability. So we want to achieve full funding. We want to achieve 100% funding
Then how do we do that?
by a combination of investment earnings and setting aside more funds.
Okay.
So this liability, think of it as a mortgage. It's being amortized over time. So in addition to putting aside money every year to pay for the cost of the benefit that's earned on an annual basis, we have an extra payment to pay that amortization of that unfunded liability. So we'll show a chart later that shows you overall progress and where things stand on an overall basis and how many years left to achieve that full funding.
Thank you. I just, being a public meeting, not everybody has a deep understanding.
I sometimes get a little wonky in my
Yeah.
my
No, I
explanations.
appreciate what you do, sir.
No, I appreciate your asking.
The gray bar is what we need to do to catch up with the blue bar to the orange bar, right?
Correct.
So gray bar says this is
So
how
as the
much
blue bar goes up, that gray bar will go down.
goes down.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Inverse relationship.
All right. Short but sweet. Thank you.
Okay, this is kind of the same look, but it's on the PERS side. So this is the retirement benefits for current members and retired members. So the same phenomenon's going on here. The orange bar represents the accrued liability. The blue bar represents the market value of assets, and the gray bar is the unfunded piece. So that's the difference between the liability and the assets that are set aside. And again, the line going across the top is the funded ratio. So you can see when we get to 2022, so this is based on CalPERS actuarial valuations, and there's like a 2-year lag for these CalPERS valuations. So this is as of June 30 of 2022. So at that time, we had $34.2 million of liability, about $24 million in assets. That left us short of about $10.5 million as the unfunded piece.
What's it look like making the blue line and the orange line equal? How many years out? Any guesstimate on that?
Again, well, it varies.
Yeah.
It varies because every year, what PERS does is every year there's a difference between what's expected to happen and what actually happens.
Yeah.
And that difference gets amortized over a number of years depending on what the reason is for the difference.
No.
So if you think of each year as a tranche, each year is amortized over a longer period of time, so it really varies. It depends.
So it means it's an issue that we will constantly pursue.
Constantly, yes.
Never really expect to get to 100%.
There's been times when
Really?
it has exceeded 100%. Yeah.
Wow.
That led to a lot of benefit enhancements that later
I expect it
led to a
would,
lot
yeah.
of unfunded liabilities. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and Ken, I noticed it just stops at 2022. We don't have the data for 2023?
No,
No, okay.
no. This actuarial report for June 30, 22 was released in October of 23, so just last October. So there's always a lag.
Gotcha.
But the next time we see this, it should look a lot better as the market value of assets is starting to rise. This is like at the worst point.
I mentioned it all the city when we did the budget review also. I served on the League of California Cities, Governance, Transparency, Labor Relations. Doesn't sound terribly exciting, but it's all dealing with PERS. First meeting I went into was announced that PERS was going broke. I said, wow, I'm a recipient. But 70%, as I remember, is a satisfactory number to achieve.
That's kind of the minimum level that PERS wants to see. They start getting worried when it's hit 70%. They don't want to go below 70.
Yeah.
But it's been all the way up to 110 or 115% in the past.
That's very
That's
fortunate.
what's led to overfunded status and a lot of spending in benefit enhancements that later, when the market turned around, it didn't,
They go away.
yeah, it didn't look so good. You can see at one point in 21, coming right off of COVID, when there was a spike in the markets and the asset values, the district was all the way up to 81% funded, somewhere in that range. And then there was the decline in the market values, decline in stock market and other assets. Subsequent to that, so it took us right back down to 70%. So you can see how, this is based on the market value of assets, so it can fluctuate greatly from year to year.
Requires a lot of monitoring of that, doesn't it? Yes.
Yes, sir. You could also see a dip back in 2014. It was 75% funded or so, 78% funded, and then a big drop for a period of time. And that's when CalPERS was making a lot of changes to try and increase the amount of contributions coming in from the member agencies. So those were actually, that decline was due to changes that CalPERS was doing, like lowering the discount rate, the assumed earnings rate and things like that. And then you see the big spike.
Very good.
So
Thank you.
overall, when we look at pension and OPEB combined, we have accrued liabilities of about $41 million, overall assets of $28 million, unfunded is about $13 million. So overall, it's about 68% funded. OPEB, we're about we got about 15 years left of amortization to achieve that full funding status. If investment earnings are, better than expected, that could shorten that period. And you can see with pension, it's various because each year represents a different tranche, and so each year is spread out over a different amortization period. But generally, it's going to be in the 10 to 20-year range to get that paid down. And with that, the recommended action is to adopt the resolution approving the budget adjustments for fiscal 23-24. I'd be happy to take any further questions the board
Any questions from the board?
might have.
Not for me, no, sir.
Board ready for public comment?
Yes, sir.
Public comment on this matter is open. Anybody having question, comment, please come to the podium. Okay, do we have anybody online wishing to?
No, Chair.
Well, it seems, then at this point, I will close public comment, and we'll return to the board for further discussion, desired action.
No other
there's-
question? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, if there's no questions, I will make a motion to adopt resolution number 2024-09, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the American Canyon Fire Protection District approving mid-year budget amendments for fiscal year 2023-24.
I'll second.
Motion second, roll call, please.
Board Member Washington,
Yes.
Vice Chair Oro,
Yes.
Chair Garcia.
Yes. Thank you, board, and thank you for your presentation, sir.
Thank you.
Move on now to receive and file American Canyon Fire Protection District 2023 Annual Report.
Sorry about that.
Perfect. Thank you. Chair and members of the board, it's my honor tonight to present you with our 2023 annual report. This is just a snapshot of everything that your fire district accomplished during last calendar year. So if you go to the next slide, please. So one of the things in the annual report we started doing last year is we started providing a platform of what we call frequently asked questions. Just some general questions that the public, the community that reads this report could look for and get just kind of more in depth of what the Fire Protection District does. One of the things we really highlighted this year was what the difference is between a paramedic and an EMT. Obviously, as you'll see later, but emergency medical response is a large portion of what we do. And the district has, about 10 years ago, took a pretty substantial leap forward in instituting what we refer to as an advanced life support, or ALS program, where we have paramedics on our fire engines every day. Paramedics really do offer an expanded scope of truly pre-hospital health care. One way to look at it is they are healthcare professionals in the pre-hospital setting that can do significant procedures to help increase the survivability of our patients. So really wanted to highlight that. We have several paramedics in the room. Don't all stand up. No, I'm just kidding. But, you know, it really does take a team, whether we have EMTs or paramedics. Really, the engine company on significant medicals really takes a full team effort really to help increase the survivability of our patients. So while we're highlighting the difference in the level of skill, I don't want that to take away from the importance of our EMTs that are working with our paramedics side by side on these calls, because they do provide a very valuable service as well as our paramedics. Next slide, please. So for this, we're going to talk a little bit about community outreach. I'm going to turn it over to our Public Information Officer, Laura Preventure, to discuss all the really cool things that we're able to accomplish inside in our community this year. Laura, go ahead.
Chair Garcia, members of the board, thank you for allowing me to present our community outreach. As you can see, our district personnel are still committed to deep involvement within the AMCAN community. First off, I'd like to thank Chief Bellier and Assistant Chief Campbell for allowing and creating an environment for Martha and I to showcase just a fraction of the dedicated work that our staff is performing on a daily basis. This shows you we attended a little over 50 scheduled public education and community events in 2023. This included engaging with schools, community members, business owners, and other government agencies. And our focus continues to be on education, fire prevention, hands-only CPR, which we educated almost 1,500 people last year, proper uses of fire extinguishers, and more. Something we're really proud of, as you can see, our social media presence continues to grow. In 2023, we had almost 806,000 likes or engagements. So that's 37 times the population of American Canyon. And with that, our reach grows in an emergency situation. Our most popular post was the reintroduction of Franny the fire truck at the 4th of July parade. This video alone had 380,000 views. Again, 17 times the population of American Canyon. The comms team, Martha and I, work continuously in collaboration with the firefighters to produce fun and engaging videos. A lot of that credit goes to Captain Rojas. And the most popular Instagram post was a joint effort with them to create a reel with probationary firefighter Hansen at the career day at Canyon Oaks. Building trusted relationships and being a trusted resource to the AMCAN community is really a part of our mission statement, and I wanted to highlight that for you. We are committed to our community and to providing exceptional customer service. Our mission is to provide reliable and progressive emergency response while seeking opportunities to make a positive difference in the lives of the people and the community we serve. We strive to continuously improve and grow with the community as a positive, healthy, and cohesive team. And I want to say that my peers that I work with do this on a daily basis. And last but not least, I want to thank my colleague Martha. She took the point on annual report this year, and you can tell it's an absolutely beautiful document, in my opinion. Chief?
Thank you very much, Laura. So, in the fire service, we have a tradition of basically the swearing in and the badge pinning, whether you're new to the organization, it's a promotion. So we really wanted to highlight that the significance of that ceremony, because last year we had a large number of promotions as well as new members into the American Canyon Fire family. So really thought it was important that we highlighted the significance of the badge pinning, and we helped the public to understand what the significance, what the backstory is, and what the history of the badge pinning ceremony is. Next slide, please. So we wanted to talk about our top 5 accomplishments that we accomplished last year. And before I get into the top 5 accomplishments, I want to take a minute. We have quite a few members of the department here tonight. None of these accomplishments could have been done without the full support of the entire AMCAN family, whether it be our administrative support, our staff, or the firefighters, and really believing in American Canyon Fire and wanting to see American Canyon Fire continue to progress and move forward. So while I get the distinct honor to present this to you tonight, it's a makeup of everyone that's in this room as well as everyone that's not in this room that is a part of the AMCAN Fire family. So I think one of our most significant accomplishments was the internal promotions and career progression for our firefighters. And our when I say firefighters, I'm talking about our line staff, our staff that works on the fire engines day in and day out. We had some significant milestones last year. We had 2 captains that were promoted to battalion chief. First time that position's been in the department. As well as we promoted 4 fire captains, And the number 4 may not sound significant, but when you look at it, 66% of our fire captains that are working today were promoted last year. That's a pretty substantial percentage. And it's also a testament to the quality of the individuals that we have that are willing to take on the added roles and responsibilities, provide that leadership for our firefighters, and help teach and mentor the next generation of our firefighters. We would be remiss if we didn't talk about financial implications on the same night that we talked about our mid-year budget presentation. We were very successful last year in securing grant funding, about $178,000, $177,000 in grant funding. $100,000 of it was the Office of Traffic and Safety, which provided us 2 new sets of the Jaws of Life. The California Department of Parks and Recreation Division of Boating and Waterways for the procurement of a new rescue boat and trailer. And then Firehouse Subs for approximately $33,000 for new structural PPE, or using Chair Garcia's comment from earlier, in terms that the public can understand. So PPE is their personal protective equipment that they wear within structure fires, vehicle accidents, and so forth. Talked about strategic workforce enhancement. We were able to hire 3 firefighter paramedics last year, which in today's very, very competitive job market is no small feat to get firefighter paramedics. So very happy with that. In fact, one of them is in the room tonight. Mr. Hanson. Technology integration. We switched some platforms on our incident reporting and records management system. That was something that was much needed, really started to bring us to start leveraging the technology that's out there today, and it's a compatible system with our emergency medical reporting system, so both of them communicate as well. So that was a big milestone for us. And then last and not least, Laura touched on our community outreach, but our community outreach, we're very, very present in the community, and we have a very good relationship with our community, and that is one of our top priorities. So that was another, what we felt was another accomplishment for last year. If you go to the next slide. So this slide talks about our call volume. This is what everybody, when they think about a fire department or a fire district, this is what they think about, is the calls for service when the fire engine is going down the road to an emergency. So this first graph here, I think, is pretty telling. If you look over the last 10 years, we've seen about a 41% increase in total call volume. If you break it down a little bit more by call categories, our fires are up 41%, rescues up 48%, calls for service 80%, and miscellaneous about 13. I'm sorry, it was 41% total call volume, 24% increase in fires. I'm sorry, the screen's a little difficult to read here. I think it's time to go to the optometrist. Next slide, please. So last year, we responded to more calls than we ever have in the history of the fire district. About that, approximately 2,000 calls were within the district. Next slide, please. And then approximately about 190 calls were supporting our neighboring jurisdictions, whether it be through mutual aid or automatic aid. So in total, we responded to 2,139 calls, which is about a 9% increase just from the prior year. So again, our service demand continues to increase as the city develops, as new businesses and residents move into the area. Next slide. This is just a general overview. It's a heat map. It shows really kind of where the calls for service are within the fire district. We're relatively smaller district, is just over 7 square miles, but as anticipated, a lot of the call volume is centered around the residential areas where the population lives. However, we're starting to see more calls on the north end of the district as the commercial development within that area of the fire district continues to expand. Next slide, please. Talking a little bit about fire prevention, we contract out our fire marshal services through a company called CSG. They've been fairly busy, especially with the new development, but this just gives us a snapshot in time of all the inspections and so forth that they did for us last year. Next slide, please. And then we wanted to talk about what we're looking forward to the future. So we want to continue our strategic partnerships, whether it be with other fire agencies, EMS partners, and so forth. Continuing to leverage technology. Technology is moving at a very rapid pace, and we want to ensure that we're embracing that and using that to our advantage. We want to develop initiatives to include more representation of an equitable workforce through diversity and inclusion programs. Always with the fire district is staffing, succession planning. And then planning, the big part too is also planning for future growth. And that's where our master plan that we accomplished several years ago is really going to help give us that guiding light as we move forward as the population within the boundaries of the fire district grows. And with that, that ends my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Well, thank you very much for the presentation. It just really clearly points out the value of our fire district, you know, and all our staff, our firefighters that work with it. I mean, the whole operation is just, I can't say enough. It's just very good job. Thank you to have this for our community to examine, look at, and evaluate. It's good to hear our response time is very much in the top notch, which is good. And we value training and keeping all our firefighters on top of the techniques and procedures and operations. Thank you. Board comments?
I would just echo what you just said. You know, when I talk to people in the community, they're always complimentary of the fire department, the fire district. You know, I'm just as complimentary of you guys as well, you know, and I just think you guys are good ambassadors for our city in everything you do, even if it's not an emergency call. You know, it's, you guys are responsive, you know, you come out with a smile, you know, and it's very, very complimentary when I talk to people from American Cancer. So thank you for all you do. And we just know that you're going to continue to do that for us, so thank you.
Very good.
Yeah, and I would echo the same. I'm happy with the report. I like the layout and the way it's done. And I also have to commend the fire chiefs for putting together a team here. I'm liking what I'm seeing and the attendance and the enthusiasm and the energy that comes through. So thank you for doing the work that you guys are doing. And pretty happy with where we are today. And obviously we're going to be moving forward with some bigger things to come as this city grows. I'm sure you've noticed that, and we're on our way to getting that. And that's a challenge of this board, is how to manage that at a pace that allows us to be fiscally responsible and also keeping safety in mind and making sure that we staff correctly. So thank you.
Can't help but think that this also is very beneficial to recruiting new members. I mean, when we have this high quality level of performance, other people want to be part of that team because they want to learn how to do the job the best way they can. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Board members ready for public comment?
Yes, sir.
Public comment on this matter is open. Anybody?
No, Chair.
Anybody online?
No, Chair.
Okay. Thank you. We'll close public comment at this time then and move on. We have receive and file is our action today. Anybody want to make a motion?
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll make a motion just to receive and file this
We're just going to formally do that, take care of that, yep.
Second it.
I will. I'll second it.
He seconded, okay. Receive and file, first and move in second. Roll call, please.
Board Member Washington,
Yes.
Vice Chair Oral,
Yes.
Chair Garcia.
Yes. Thank you. A lot of work went into this. It looks great. Thank you. All right, moving on under agenda, we have, next up, Fire Chief oral report.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. First and foremost, really like to thank both Martha and Laura for the work on the annual report. That is a very heavy lift. That they've managed to find the time amongst all the other demands they have on the time to make a very high quality product. So thank you both, Martha and Laura, for that. Keeping with the theme of thank you, I'd like to thank the entire membership of the American Canyon Fire family for all the work that they put into for the recent academy. It was a month long, and both engine companies were highly engaged every day of the academy, spending a lot of time with helping Chief Campbell and our new recruits, which one of them is here tonight, Mr. De Castillo, Eddie. You'll get to meet him at the future badge pinning, but really it was pretty cool to see the level of involvement from the crews, and really want to thank them for that. That was really cool. Couple other things. You may have noticed that just recently we made a social media post celebrating International Women's Month and all the women that are members of the AMCAN family. I'd like to apologize. There was an oversight. Miss Marcus, I apologize that your picture was not included for ACERT, as well as Karina Savrente. Both of you are very valued members of ACERT. We're happy to have you, and we apologize for that oversight. But from me personally, you guys are very, very valued, and we're very glad to have you, so thank you. A couple highlights. March 15th, Captain Pilkington and one of our probationary firefighters, Mr. Bellici, joined AMR. Actually, AMR helped us, but they taught hands-only CPR to approximately 500 of the high school students.
Wow.
Yeah, freshmen. The program was started by Captain Pilkington over 10 years ago, with the goal of creating a lasting partnership between AMCAN Fire and AMCAN High School. It's part of their PE curriculum, but reaching 500 people in one opportunity to teach them a valuable life-saving skill, such as hand-only CPR, is pretty neat. And again, highlights. We talked at previous board meetings about community risk reduction, and we talked about working with some of our mobile home parks and apartment managers. But this is another way that the crews, the fire district, is embedded in the community, helping reduce that risk to our community members. And in this case, in the event that someone they know or has the cardiac arrest, they now have the tools to help provide CPR until the firefighters and ambulance crews show up.
That's awesome, thank you. 500, wow.
So that
Moment.
that event was going on concurrently while the academy was going on. So we had a busy couple days, and really a busy month. Excuse me. I had the opportunity to present at the American Canyon Chamber's State of the City presentation that was just done recently, talking about our prevention program and so forth. So I thought that was a really neat opportunity to enhance the level of outreach with our business community. Was able to attend briefly this past weekend, the Holy Festival. I had some personal commitments, so I wasn't able to stay and get colored with all the dye. But It was neat being out there and seeing a few of you there and interacting with the community. April 6th, we're going to be partnering with American Red Cross to test, replace, and install smoke alarms and carbon monoxide detectors at the Las Casitas Mobile Home Park. This is a program that is provided at no cost and through sponsorship from the American Canyon Red Cross. And then in my absence, Chief Campbell and our PIO, Ms. Preventure, will be attending the Citizens Academy at the American Canyon High School for the seniors to talk about the fire district and what a career in the fire service is like. And with that, that concludes my report for this evening. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you very much. Yes, clearly you've been very busy, as everyone has been. But, you know, it accomplishes a lot. And I think that kind of contact with young people at the high school certainly makes a bit of an awareness of a possible career. And that one-on-one connection is just speaks volumes. The capacity to reach out and recruit, yeah, make a difference in someone's life. Well, thank you. Any chair board comments, committee reports, future agenda items?
I just want to apologize. I was going to come in and say I thought it was 7:30 is when we started, but I just came back from St. Helena's City Council meeting where I was there being supportive of Measure U, the sales tax that Napa Valley Transportation Authority is promoting. But I did want to come back. Wanted to say thank you for Captain Martin's work and career here, and to thank him personally. And other than that, apologize for showing up late.
Well, we're glad you'll make it, and I'm sure you know, we all understand you're doing some very important work there, so thank you for joining us. If there's nothing further, then we have concluded our business for the evening. Thank you all. We are adjourned.
Good night, American Canyon.
No, you had to get your